Hey, what's up? My name is JM Chaley and welcome to my channel. This week we're going to talk about the kind of people that you meet at book shows. These are table people that come by your table to check out your books or not. These are the people that you'll meet at your table. They'll come by your table, they'll stop, they'll talk to you. These are people that don't buy your books. Okay, so the sales. Everyone knows what a sale is. Come buy your book. They like the book. They buy the book. Thank you very much. Off they go. And I wanted to dig into this a little bit and see if you've ever done a book show, if you've met some of these people, or if you have people, other archetypes that I haven't mentioned, a different flavor of non-buying customer that'll come by your table. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So, and the disclaimer here, none of these folks are bad just because they're not buying your book. It's all good. It's all good. It's just a lot of times I am sometimes entertained by some of them because they're usually good folks who just aren't interested. But let's get into the list. Okay, so the first one is kind of what I call a looky-loo. These are the folks that kind of walk by your table. They glance at your stuff. They don't stop. They don't pick anything up. They just keep walking. You get a head turn. If someone's not interested in your book, I feel like these are the guys and gals that you see most of. Then you get the sort of the not my genre crowd. The not my genre crowd are these folks. They're kind of like looky-loos. They look over and something clicks and they say, yeah, that book's not for me. But it's almost like they feel bad about it and they want to let you know. Like for me, I write vampires. And vampires are not for everybody. So I get a lot of folks who aren't interested in my books just because I write vampires. But they want to let me know. Like they don't want to just walk by because they think that's rude. It's not. And they want to say, oh, I'm just not into vampires. Oh, I don't like horror. I don't write horror. But they make that assumption. That's okay. And I say, hey, no worries. You want a piece of candy? I have candy on my table. It's all good. I always think these people are thoughtful because they want to say something kind of like, it's not you, it's me. I'm sure your book is lovely, but it's just not for me. And that's okay. The other type of person is a blurb reader. Something about your table, a book on your table, has drawn them in. Or maybe they're interested, they want to check it out. What I do is if someone actually walks up to the table, I always greet them. How's it going? I'll see if there's an opening for me to kind of throw my pitch about what my books are about. The blurb readers typically go for the book immediately. Like they don't really want to talk to me. They're just kind of like, yep, boom, grab the book, flip it over, read the blurb on the back. I don't interrupt them while they're reading the blurb. The blurb is meant to sell the book. That's your little, 200 words or less sales pitch, right? What your book is about, what they can expect when they read it, what kind of genre they're going to get into, right? All the kind of fun and games that are going to be found in your book should be in your blurb. If your blurb if your blurb doesn't convert to a sale, it may not mean that your blurb is bad. It's just something about it didn't click for that reader and they moved on. Don't compete with your blurb by talking while they're trying to read. You're not going to be doing yourself any favor because they're going to try to tune you out and then read, and then it's just let the blurb do what the blurb is meant to do. And if it makes a sale, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. You're going to have friends come by your table, folks that you know, because you're going to go out on social media and say, hey, I'm going to be at blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be there. and you're going to have friends show up, family show up, and that's awesome. Um, these folks aren't necessarily going to buy your book because maybe they already did. Maybe they're just there to see you. Maybe they are going to buy your book. I don't know, but they're definitely going to come by your table. And one thing I'll just have to say is you'll just need to be mindful that they're not disrupting sales, right? They come and they talk to you. If someone's looking over, you just kind of say, hold on a second, boom, do your pitch to this other person if you need to, and then you can get right to it. I always kind of feel bad because it's a book shows are a kind of a lousy place to kind of hang out with your friends. You can't really spend too much time being social because people are always walking by your table and a lot of them are going to be interested, hopefully. So it's not a great time to carve off, a portion of minutes to socialize. But definitely don't be shy about saying, oh, hold on a minute, I gotta make my sales pitch. You're gonna get what I call bookmark collectors. Real creative name. Yes, bookmark collectors. These folks, and they'll, or whatever other swag you have, stickers, magnets, whatever, anything that you're giving away in the form of, writerly stuff, or readerly stuff, I don't know. They're gonna want it, so you see them at book shows. They just walk around, table, bang, grab the bookmark, and they just keep walking. They don't want to know about your book. They didn't even look at your book cover. They didn't even, I don't even know that a lot of these folks spend enough time to really digest what they're even taking. They don't look at your posters or anything. They just kind of come by, see bookmark, they zoom right in, zoom, grab it, and go. Now, I don't know the strategy. Maybe after the book show, they go back and flip through them all and say, this one looks interesting, this one looks interesting, and hopefully you have a QR code or a web address on your bookmarks where they can, if they are interested after the fact, they can kind of use the QR code or whatever. So the front of my card has sort of a little bit of the book cover. The back has a little bit of a blurb about what the book is about, of like a micro blurb, and then at the bottom of that is a QR code. You're not even going to get enough time to pitch your book. They grab and go. Then you're going to get the salesmen and saleswomen. And look, a lot of these shows are going to be great networking opportunities for you, for everybody, right? You're going to meet other authors. You can meet other authors in your genre. Meeting other authors in your genre is fantastic. You could build friendships, or you could build, and some of those friendships could lead to opportunities for sales, like cross promotions. You can meet, like if I met another vampire author, I could be like, hey, you want to do a cross promotion with me? You can sell our books together, do like a 99-cent ebook sale, me and you, and go out there, whatever, or you just meet friends. Go out to lunch with these folks, hang out, have a good time. It's all great. The networking is great. Meet someone that does a podcast, and maybe they want to have you on their next episode. Fantastic. We're all out there trying to make a buck, at the end of the day. And the folks that come up to your table and want to sell you their services, they're no different. They're not going to be interested in buying your book. They don't want to hear your pitch. They want to pitch to you and tell you about their editing services. Maybe they're a book cover designer, whatever. They're gonna sell to you. So just be prepared for that. Not a bad thing, right? Take their business card. The only time I ever really didn't bother with someone. In other words, I typically keep all the business cards I get. Because, people have editing services and, proofreading services, art. I'm always looking for art, whether it's a book cover or just character sketches, right? So I keep a repository of all these folks. I check out their web pages after the event. I always go in and I check them out after the fact. The only a couple times that I didn't do was when one woman came over who was selling editing services. She kind of went, she kind of vocalized her disinterest for the vampire genre. She's like, oh yeah, these books aren't really for me. Anyway, I do editing, and I'm thinking, you're gonna edit a book that you're not into my genre? Like, it's just weird. So I'm like, no, I'm obviously not going to use you as an editor if you don't like vampire books, because that's what I write. And then someone else came over who was pitching his book cover services, and he led with the fact that he uses AI. He generates all his book covers in AI. And I was like, buddy, like, no, I'm not going to use AI anywhere in anything I do. Not for commissioned art, not for writing, nothing. That's a whole other topic. It's not what this video is about. But I did not keep his business card. Moving on. Save this one for last. These are, I just call them the meanies. People that are just mean. They want to come over and they want to pick a fight for whatever reason. Thankfully, I haven't met a lot of these folks. I think they're rare. I think readers tend to be, intelligent people, and I think intelligence breeds kindness. And so you don't typically meet a lot of dinkweeds at book shows. I had someone who was giving me a hard time to my wife, because she mentioned that she worked for Disney, and she had some nasty things to say about Disney. Like, why? Like, what do you... It's kind of like if you don't have anything nice to say, just, like, what are you doing? I was trying to make my sales pitch to this one woman about Lisa Cooper and how she's a vampire, and I was kind of describing the fact that after she uses her vampire charm, she tries to do something kind. Like, in other words, she doesn't just leave you wherever she found you. She kind of gives you advice. Okay, well, if you're driving home, you start feeling dizzy, because, obviously this person's just lost a little bit of blood. If you start feeling dizzy, just pull over and let it pass, right? Or gives some life advice. Hey, I met you at a club. Maybe a club's not the best place to meet women if you're using these cheesy pickup lines that you've been using. Maybe you should reevaluate right? She gives that's kind of like something little mini scenes I bake into to show Lisa's compassion. Even though she's a vampire and she has to feed, she takes advantage of that charm and tries to give some kindness after the fact, inject some subconscious ideas into their head, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You don't want to buy me, you don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life, like that kind of stuff. I didn't get through that pitch to her as she was kind of considering buying my books. I got as far as to say, well, she charms. And then she said, oh, so she's a narcissist. And I said, well, Lisa Cooper's not a narcissist. The whole idea is that she is a vampire, but she tries to be as compassionate as she's able to be because she cares. And I'm spilling some tea here. I'm spilling tea. And she's like, yeah, that's what narcissists do. They drink your blood and they charm you. And they control you and manipulate you. I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, if that's your takeaway, I mean, that's not going to be a sale. And it wouldn't have behooved me to get into some sort of debate with her and try to sell her on the idea that Lisa is a kind person. She'd made up her mind. I lost her somewhere along that line. And at that point, she just kind of disparaged vampires and how awful the genre was and negative the genre was. And I was like, okay, yeah, great. Well, have a nice day. You want some candy? I don't know. Away she goes. So that's the list. I think it was like eight different people of folks that you could run into, and you probably will run into most of them at your table. Hopefully you won't have any meanies, right? Let's not have so many meanies. And if you do run into a meanie, just let them say they're crap and then be like, all right, take it easy, have a nice day, whatever. Do not engage. Never engage. Yeah, so that about wraps it up. Table people, I don't know what else to call them. They're folks that don't buy your book, but they want to interact with you in some other way. Except the looky-loos. The looky-loos just keep walking. They don't even, they don't care. The other people will interact with you and not buy your book. Be ready for that. It's okay. It's part of life, right? Okay, so that about wraps it up. If you like this video, please smush that like button. And as always, please subscribe. I post whenever I can, usually on a Thursday. Check back and see what's new. You can follow me on a multitude of social media platforms. I'm mostly active on Blue Sky Threads and Facebook these days. Or you can check out jmchaley.com. I have character art, new events coming up, listing where I'm going to be, what shows are coming up. You can sign up for my newsletter, or you can send me a message and just say hi. Let's keep in touch. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.